Welcome to Issue by Issue, the show where we take complex issues, break them down, so we can see what each side are actually saying. Today's issue: Martin Gugino. Was Martin Gugino a 75-year-old protester in Buffalo? Or was he actually a secret undercover agent?
Who was knocked to the ground after confronting police in Buffalo has a questionable past. And now, we'd like to take a moment and just ask some questions and give you, the viewer, the chance to make up your own mind about what really happened.
Pushed down by Buffalo police, had some type of a injury, bleeding from the head. He got to the hospital, I think, the other day. Trump put a tweet out saying he's possibly Antifa.
This is like a pretty cool Catholic dude. People have been posting about how he has spent years volunteering with the Catholic Worker Movement, which is a great organization, and going to plenty of protests during his retirement.
And if he's such a genial old man, why has he been arrested at least 4 times in the past for protesting?
And he seems to have mainly participated in a lot of climate change activist events. And so there's plenty of pictures of him doing that over the years. And he's made plenty of friends. A bunch of elderly friends of his have been posting and even on videos saying, this guy is like super cool and nice, and this is really weird that the president has said this about him and that people are thinking that he's something he's not.
If he's such a peace lover, why would the mayor of a city specifically call Martin out as a troublemaker, an agitator, the key and major instigator for rioters looting the city? Digging deeper, Martin's online history leaves a trail of anti-American, anti-government opinions, including repeatedly denouncing the U.S. for maintaining a base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Shockingly, in a tweet that appears to be from his account, Martin says, quote, "Maybe it's time for America to be destroyed, and that he will have to sacrifice his safety."
Put forward the narrative that this man has been a long time member of the peace movement, and so that means he's Antifa, and so that means... This goes back to an earlier concern people I know have had, which is that by him calling Antifa a domestic group, now he can define anybody against Trump as Antifa. Anybody, anytime. It's Antifa. That's what that is, because it's not a group with a... It's not the Klan.
These are not the words
of
a peaceful man who intends to avoid danger, but rather one who seems to be trying to put himself in harm's way to accomplish the destruction of America.
The president tweets that this man may have been a member of Antifa.
It's not a baseless conspiracy. No, not at all. I won't acknowledge that, because look.
And that he fell harder than he was pushed. Could be a setup. It's all made up. It's all fabricated. There's no fact to any of it.
The president was asking questions about an interaction in a video clip he saw.
Tweet
and the president has the right to
obviously spreading misinformation was because he ended it with a question mark, so it's just speculating.
The president did have facts before he tweeted it out that undergirded his question.
And it turns out the reporter who Donald Trump retweeted works for Sputnik, works for the Russian state-owned media company, Sputnik.
Pushed him back to protect themselves. Martin falls, apparently strikes his head, and immediately, less than a second after hitting the ground, begins gushing blood from what appears to be...
I'm a big fan of mixed martial arts, the UFC. I've seen thousands of fights, thousands of concussions, thousands of knockouts. I've never seen someone get concussed or knocked out, head kicked, anything like that, and then have blood instantly start gushing out of their ear unless their cauliflower ear was popped. I've never seen anything like this, so that is a strange amount of blood. If you are a medical doctor...
From a UFC fight where Ben Askren gets knocked out by Jorge Masvidal, and if you notice, immediately after Ben Askren takes the knee to his jaw, he goes limp and falls to the ground. While he was unconscious, you saw his body, arms and legs tense up, just like Mr. Gugino. This is called posturing or fencing, and is a sign of a significant brain injury like a concussion. So after analyzing this clip, we know he's not faking how he fell. He's not faking the blood pouring out of his ear, and he's not faking being unconscious.
He accuses this man of being associated with Antifa. No proof whatsoever.
We can see blood instantly pouring out of his ear, which is also suspicious.
What do you think it was? It was staged? Do you think the blood coming out of his head was staged?
They're saying that comes up in here through the mask into the ear, and it makes sense. It makes sense. You know, it'd be kind of hard to believe that if this big line was.
You saw his head hit the pavement. You see blood on the pavement.
Again, the man is 75 years old. He's 75 years old, bruh. Why?
And Donald Trump got freaking destroyed by the media for doing this. Like, how could you? A 75-year-old man in Antifa? Antifa is normally 13-year-old nutrient deficient kids with purple hair. This dude is not your typical Antifa supporter, Donald Trump. How dare you? But yes, I think he's onto something.
This, okay? But there's a portion of the country that totally buys into this. 75-year-old elderly man pushed to the ground, seen bleeding from his ear as he's laying there, and somehow he's the bad guy, according to Trump and around 30% of this country.
Honestly, I don't think Trump is just sitting there scrolling through videos. He comes across this video, then tweets this. I think he has a team of intelligent people who, you know, talk to him about this stuff and inform him that this could be what this guy was doing. They've seen stuff like this before.
He says the protester is actually a known Antifa member. That's a lie. He says the protester was trying to scan the police radios so that he could block their communication or learn about their upcoming moves so that he could attack them. That's a lie.
Do you think this was fake? Do you think this guy is an imposter? Is he a POS? Is he a fraud?
We can't even agree that the video of the 75-year-old being pushed is like a bad thing and that should like widely be condemned. No, can't agree on that, right, Donald?
It looks like I don't like saying this, but it looks like he deliberately fell in that way. I'm not saying he slammed his head purposely on the ground. I mean, if you're a psychopath, you might slam your head on the ground like that. This is just extremely
Who looks at that
fishy.
And sees a 75-year-old in a pool of blood, which even that crazy right-wing network showed, and thinks fell harder than he was pushed. This is part of his conspiracy to bang his head against the concrete so hard that he would bleed from the ear and be hospitalized now nearly a week later. Still
don't resist arrest. Don't try to, you know, wave your phone in front of their equipment acting like you're trying to hack them or disrupt their radio frequencies.
Pushed away after
you know, it's just
scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. Where was he scanning said equipment? With what? He had a phone in his hand.
Condoning violence, he was not passing judgment on these two officers in particular, but what he was saying is this: when we see a brief snippet of a video, it's incumbent upon reporters and those who...
If you did see that video, you know that what Officers Torgalski and McCabe did was 100% wrong and inappropriate. And they were lucky to just be suspended from their position and not lose their job outright.
Police had already asked protesters to clear the area. They were on edge. They told him to get out of the way, and yet he continued advancing towards them.
If you think that guy is a threat to you to the point where you got to be physical with him at all, guess what? You shouldn't be a cop at all.
The president does not condone violence. He wants to see the appropriate amount of police force used in any given situation, including this one, but he believes that the officers have a right to be heard.
Does the political lens blind us from the scope of our humanity? Or does our humanity create illusions that blocks us from the conspiracy? Are most tragedies actually a hoax? Or are we seeing something that's not there? That's the issue.